All right, Josh. We're live, Josh.
I'm not seeing anything. It's not starting. There it goes. All right, guys. Good episode here, guys. My name is Josh from Mr. Floyd, and let's welcome our guests here as well, and our panel as we have here every week. First off, I want to welcome you guys, our viewers, and I want to say thank you for all of you who are up at 11 o'clock on a Sunday evening to watch our mugs here, and we are grateful to have you guys here with us. And let's introduce our panel here as we do each week here. Trista, welcome. Good evening. How are you doing? Trista, can you hear me? There we go. All right. Lucky, good
Sorry.
evening.
Hello.
Victor, good evening. And Millie, good evening to you guys.
Hello,
Yeah, from
everyone.
my end here, I keep forgetting I gotta wait for the delay to get through sometimes as well.
And I
So
had
yeah,
myself
so
muted.
so welcome guys. Welcome. Our topic tonight is going to be navigating the 3D and the 5D as we just went through the 8-8 portal, which is a tremendous 5D portal. And after having conversations with certain people in my universe over the past few months, I've realized there's a enormous split in humanity and how certain people on this planet see the world, how we're living in the world, and how we are approaching how we take care of our universes. And so I wanted to, I brought the topic up because I wanted to see how the panel really, because this is kind of a big forefront deal, is how we can navigate and deal living in the 5D, being of 5D, being of that higher vibration, not playing in the energetic soup that's being fed to us on a daily basis from the media, from the government, and everything else that's trying to take our loge and other people's in our universe who maybe want us to feed into that. How do you guys deal with that? How do we deal with that? And as a collective, how can we maybe even try to as 5D beings that we are, as a collective, help to put an end to what we're really just giving it no interest, putting an end to all of that matrix garbage, that the Loesch energy that we've been playing in for so long that we no longer need to play it. So I'm going to kick it off. Whoever wants to start off here with, how do you guys handle your 3D versus 5D? And whoever wants to kick it off there.
Okay, how about me?
There we go. We'll pass it off
Yeah,
to. There you go. Go for lucky.
awkward silence.
Well, I heard you breathe, so I didn't say anything.
Awkward silence. It's one of those things where if someone is being their lower self, you don't say anything, because if they trigger you, it's what they want. It's feeding in that negative, in the negative spiral. So sometimes the best thing you do is just say nothing and just look at them, and you let them stew in the silence of what they said. It also gives you a minute to think about how to truly react, because they might be saying it being lower and not have any intention of being their lower self, or they might be trying to trigger you. Either way, anything you say in the moment will just bring you down to their level. And that's not, either they're being mean or not. You don't want to bring to that the level, so just awkward silence helps so much. It's something I remember and forget intermittently, but usually when I get triggered, it's when I can do awkward silence the most, because I get so angered inside, I just stop and freeze. It's, one of those things. It's when it's friends and joking around, you just keep going in the lower, or you talking with coworkers and, complaining about things, and it just brings you down to the lower level. But again, the best thing you do is just, when they say something that is a little bit too much, you just stop and let them think about what they say, and then you have a moment to think about how to respond. And it's basically, it's my fallback position, because sometimes you just don't have an answer, you don't have a reaction. But silence to me is always my golden power, my superpower.
Nice, nice. I like to approach it. I think to answer the same question, I think of course we're going to get us a huge smattering of different answers, which I look forward to hearing all of them. But I have a way of, in a sense, I think it's via it's not isolating myself. I don't isolate, but I think it is insulation. I think that's a great word for it. I don't put myself. I find that I don't put myself in positions that I may have in the past where it's like what is that old saying? You know, if you're hanging out with a drug dealer on the corner, don't be surprised if you get your face pushed into the concrete by the cops as well. Drug dealer it gets busted. So that's like one of the first things dealing with the 3D. That's basic stuff. Don't hang out in the wrong place. Don't hang out with the wrong people. But I think whenever I go out, I try to make sure that I'm in that. It's almost like a continual reminder, even especially driving and things like that. Just being that continual reminder to that hey, I'm in charge. You know, I say it at my show twice a day. I'm in charge of my reaction to any given situation, and the 3D is going to come at you for the loosh. Is it loosh? That's the right word for it.
Mhm.
Because they're still trying, you know, even though they're losing and our side is gaining, you know, the veil's lifting and our side is gaining all this wonderful momentum. And there's so many beautiful things and so many people are waking up now too, which is beautiful. And think about when it gets even stronger. It's going to get easier. I think it's getting easier, Josh, and to all of you. I think it's getting easier daily. It's almost getting easier daily to go out and deal with the 3D stuff because things are falling away and falling away. But for my thing, it's constant reminder when I go out and interact out in the 3D. It's just a constant reminder. So next,
Awesome. Trista, Millie, either one?
I try, and I mean, it's not a perfect system, of course, but I try to focus on unity with everybody else and kind of see our interconnectedness, even if they're maybe not on this side of things. It's still, I feel important to include them in it, because some people kind of, make their way over eventually too. So I try to focus on the things that I would have in common with them, and try to bring them into that kind of fold. But it also kind of depends, right? Because there's not always that opportunity, and they're not always open to it. And you kind of got to read the room and go from there. But yeah, for me, I think that's kind of how I approach it. I'll just assume everybody is, open to the love and the whatever else that we've got going on, and until they show me otherwise. And then even then, like, I'm not just going to leave them in dust, right? So I don't know if that's what I try to do. Really?
I agree with Trista. Um, I just deal with people in the same way that I would want to be treated, and a very loving way and understanding way. And most of the times, the dealings that I have with people are generally around kids' activities and things like that. Um, or shopping, like the day to day stuff. So it's not like where, I mean, there are times people speak politics and everything like that. And even like in the spirituality world, like I just walk away from that and leave it alone. Um, but and then you see people also that are getting frazzled by things, and you have to deal with them. So it's like sometimes you just kind of tell them without telling them. You know what I mean? Like I'll just make a comment like I would to anybody, and either they'll get it or they won't, or they might be curious, and then I can just be like, oh, whatever. And some people are receptive to it. There's more and more I'm finding that people are kind of open to different things, and you hear people talking about themselves practicing things. They'll be like, oh, I'm going to take a deep breath, because box breathing is like the new big thing. So it's not just something that is being talked about in our communities. It's like, therapists are using it, and they're using it in schools for kids to, to let's say take them off that cliff, let's say, when they're having anxiety or panic attacks. So, you can relate with people like that. But that's really the only interaction. Like, I'm not like in the business world right now or working, where I think that might be more challenging, because I think that tends to be a little bit more competitive, so to speak. And that brings out different personality types. But honestly, it's hard to 3D and 5D because I spent like the last year and a half, almost two, like solely working on the 5D. I was kind of letting the 3D go, even though I had been immersed in it before. But I was like finding the things that I was volunteering to and things that I was doing with other people. I was becoming more and more recluse, and I feel like I was falling into that loop of constantly healing and not interacting because it's a balance, right? So I'm slowly, and I kind of I just had that epiphany with Lionsgate too. It's like, well, if you're really balanced, then you got to balance more. It's not just about going out to go out in nature. It's
Mhm.
about going out to interact with people and spread what you know and be like a role model or whatever, whatever. So that's been more of how I would see the 5Ding as of lately, like extremely lately, like the last week lately.
Thanks, Millie. So when you guys are going out into public there, for Trista, for example, you have to deal with you're in the public view. So you have to deal with people walking into the store, deal with different energies. What do you guys do on a daily basis as we walk out there? We're the light that is walking through the dark, and generally people are either going to see our light or we're going to trigger their darkness, one or the other. Generally speaking, and so when you're out there in the universe, what are you guys doing to not trigger people's darkness? No, that's not our job to do so. If we're triggering something, then as gray workers, shadow workers, and whatnot, it's our job to do that and bring it up in them. But what do you guys do to protect yourselves, to keep yourselves grounded in yourselves, and not kind of get caught up in the whole rat race, the whole matrix craziness that's really going on outside of, and most of us here don't watch the news, so we'll give that one already a given. That we're not watching the news and giving ourselves that stress level of in news, even news anyways, but nonetheless, whatever they want us to energy they want us to create. But outside of that, when you're out in the public, then you smash into get in a rear-ended car, and then the guy gets out and they're all 3D angry, or in your case, Trista, they come to the store, they don't have what they're looking for, and they maybe start going into anxiety or what have you because they feel that this is going to change their universe. How do you guys deal with that, and what do you do to keep grounded in the 5D and not take that energy with you? That's part of the deal. Is as we're out there, we're collecting all this stuff. I mean, I'm in a concert, and God only knows how many energies I'm collecting at work. And so,
Yeah.
what are you guys exactly? So, what are you guys doing out there on the level playing field here to keep yourselves level? If you get where we're going here.
I find so at work it's nice because they're usually short interactions, right? So if they're unpleasant, then you know I'll hear them out and um, give them the attention that they need in the moment, and then send them on their merry way. And honestly, I find like busing home is a huge decompression for me. And it sounds weird because there's a whole bunch of weirdos on the bus, but I put on my headphones and listen to music, and I'm good. And then by the time I get home, I feel a lot better. But yeah, I don't think I carry as much of it with me as I used to, and I don't really know what I do to accomplish that, quite frankly. But I definitely, um, yeah, it's not as bad as it used to be for sure. But I also work with a lot of wonderful people, right? And in the health food industry, most people are on this side of things anyway. And though they might have a bad day here and there, they're open to energetics and stuff like that for the most part. I mean, not everybody, of course, but a lot more than the general population for sure. So I'm definitely really fortunate and I'm very grateful for that because I don't know if I could work in a normal job. It's definitely not a normal job. So
Excellent. Excellent. I'll go ahead and interject something too. Is
Please,
Oh, go ahead.
no, please go ahead.
Oh,
Finish.
please. I thought you said wait. Okay. Um, Concerning that, who made a good point? Yeah. Okay. Kim, KD made a good point in here that sometimes our light, some people enjoy our light and others are repelled by it. And you guys know, I know, I don't know if you know the stories, Lucky, and some of you in chat know that I've had two different experiences over the last year, or maybe it's been longer now, year and a half, where I was being completely nice to people and they just attacked me. They just verbally attacked me and and whatever I said to him just made it worse. Even though I was like, no, that was not my intention. I was being polite and this and that. And no matter what I said to them, they were there to fight regardless. And that's like when you're walking down to the supermarket or the Walmarts or wherever you are, and you're doing your shop. Sorry, I had to say it that way. But and you'll see people if you're in your light and you're just walking, pushing your buggy, pushing your cart, and people will make a beeline to avoid you. Or you come up and meet a group of people, and one of those people's kind of like one of those people. They're kind of doing that little like they're about ready to bolt the whole time. And it's interesting to see where others are sitting there interacting with you fine. And to Katie's point, some people are repelled by our light, and in a sense, that saves us. That saves us any interaction that we have to do with them. And I don't. When I go out to deal with the 3D, I don't go in any kind of. I don't put any fear in there. And I don't put any like angst or anything like that. I just get in my sphere and go do my thing. And if people want to interact with me, then and they're gonna get loving Victor. And if they come otherwise, then they're gonna get loving Victor. And they're gonna get me again and again. And as long as they don't do anything physical against me, but still that's a choice. Still that's a choice. And I don't predispose myself to, oh, well, what if this happens or what if this happens? And I haven't even thought it out. I haven't even thought it out right now because I don't want to put any scenarios out there. So I just go, and if somebody wants to come and loosh off of me, well, they're going to drink from a fire hose. There you go.
Nice. Lucky?
That's a tough one for me because I don't like labels and I don't judge anyone. And people come to my life, and if they're going to be negative, it's for me to learn something. And that's why the awkward silence comes in. That's why I fall to the awkward silence. There's a lesson there. I believe that everyone comes into my life for a reason, whether I like it or not.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the truth. And as Millie did say, treat others how you want to be treated. But there's another side of that is I want other people to treat me how I treat them. And if it's not working out, I don't have to continue the conversation. It's not my obligation. And again, as a people pleaser, I used to fall on that, just trying to help make people like me. And there's a point where Victor knows that doesn't happen. If people don't like you, it's out of your control. So, but there's a point where, okay, they're here for a reason. Let me take whatever is in the situation. It might seem negative at this perspective, but it might be me trying to need to learn something from this person. They might have a kernel of truth in their horrible words. And the kernel of truth might not be something like it might not be constructive criticism. There might be something, attached to it that is more to the story that I have to grab from that and benefit myself from. But as long as you fall into the they're pissing me off situation, it won't get you anywhere. But if you just I'm going to listen to them as much as I can. I'm going to try to give them love and light, compassion, and if this doesn't work out, I can end the conversation and walk away. If it's work-wise, I can just sit there quietly and go, okay. And then sometimes it's just I don't accept that. I just can't. No, thank you. I don't accept that. I guess there's no more we can say about this, and let's just walk away. And it doesn't work all the time. It does upset people, but again, we can't progress any forward. This conversation doesn't have any benefit to either of us. So let's just, end it now and think about it. But yeah, life is a complicated. Life is a recipe. Life is an adventure. In a recipe, you've got things like salt and vinegar that themselves are just not something you want it by itself. But if you mix it with the wheat and what am I trying to make? Eggs. I forgot what the end result was going to be, but it was a really great metaphor. But you get what I'm saying. Each of the individual constituents are awful in themselves, but mixed together, you get something wonderful. That's what life is.
And that's an interesting way to approach that every one of your situations. If somebody's being a dickhead to you, to say, "Oh, what's the medicine in it?" And I agree with that. There's a lot of medicine, but I don't know if somebody was just straight up being that way to me, if I would receive the medicine or not. You know what I mean? Right here at my current state, I don't know. Not in the state. I'm talking about my state of being. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would have that in me, honestly. So I applaud you for that, because if somebody's just going out of their way to be a dickhead, then I probably just remove myself from the situation, because I know myself. To well, I might have. I don't know. In the past, my fuse was a little bit shorter than it is now. Quite a bit shorter, I'll say. So I give people a lot of latitude that I didn't operate under earlier in my journey. So, and is is every happening to us medicine? I'll ask myself that, and I think you're on the right tracks at saying it is. But then, if you go to a restaurant and four or five people are complete wanks to you, then, hey, yeah, I think that's probably some medicine going on there. That's something that you may need to look at. But if it's just one individual, I don't know. I don't know if I have it in me to give them the status of bringing medicine to me. Just off the top of my head, you follow what I'm saying? I don't know if I don't know if I have that innately in me right away. Maybe 2 hours later, I'll be, oh yeah, there's my medicine. It might arrive. So I have to give you some props for that, because, but I'm not that granular. I would say immediately upon the situation.
Oh, I admit I have a very short fuse, and that's why I have to use awkward silence. That's why awkward silence is my superpower, because if I react at the moment of what's on my head, it's not going to be healthy for anyone, me or them. And the law, it'll if I react in the moment and don't use awkward silence, then it's going to affect me the long term, and that's not what I want. I have very short fuse, and of course then it happens. But I also have the ability where I can see beings that other people can't see. They're everywhere, anyways, and a lot of times they're a mixture themselves. So if I get the right moment, I can go, okay, that one over there, he's giving me information. I'm going to listen. I'm going to be quiet in the real world and listen on the other side, and hopefully get something benefit from it. But yeah, honestly, that is my problem. I have a very short fuse, so I need to use the awkward silence. I need to use a what can I benefit from this? I need to stop and use something to think about, and hopefully, and again, there's a point where there's no benefit to the situation. So yeah, I have to get the heck out of there, or they're going to trigger me, and and that's because I can take so much, but then there's a point where I get full, and then it all comes out, and no one benefits from that at all. But it keeps a lot of people away from me for a couple of days sometimes. But I try to avoid that as much as possible.
Thanks, Lucky. Millie, did you have anything to add?
Um, I think a lot of my interactions I've noticed for my when I go out and I'm frazzled, let's say because I'm running late somewhere, or I have a lot to do, and I go out and I'm not balanced and centered, I'm going to attract more of the same, right? Because the world is a mirror. So I may have that thing where you have the running mate, where there's people that are annoying, or there's people cutting me off or whatnot. So I've learned that the temperance isn't even just in reacting to the situations. It's kind of like, well, all right, I'm going to get there when I'm going to get there. Like, just relax, because it's almost like if I'm going out with a certain type of energy, I'm only going to interact with more people with that same energy. So if I keep myself balanced and centered, everything not and look, that's not always going to be the case, but generally my interactions with people are better, because also, like, I'm looking frazzled and crazy, so I'm going to attract that as well. But if I'm centered and I'm just like "Doo, doo, 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 doo," and I might just see it. My big thing, even before the silence, is the laughter. I just If someone's acting like an idiot, I may not even be able to control my laughter. I'm just going to laugh in your face. And that's not always good. So I try to, but I'm just kind of like, and I'm just gonna. So I try, whatever. But that's funny what Victor said about the lessons. Like I'm trying to look at it more in the mirror. Um, like, okay, what am I trying to learn from this, or what's being reflected to me? What am I doing? But I would have thought of it if there's like one person, but when there's four people doing the same thing, then I always chalk it up to, and maybe I'm wrong. It's like, I wonder what's in the air today, like, so I don't look at it like it's a lesson for me to learn. At that point, I look at it as like, no, there's something going on,
Mm,
or I
mm.
wonder what the underlying current is that I'm not being affected by. But if it's one person, and it depends on, and sometimes it's just, you can tell that people are just like, they're looking at you, and you bother them. So it's like, oh, well, yeah, my light triggers them, or something about my disposition is making their demons come out. So, but
Making their demons
generally, yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like something about me is pissing them off. So okay, you do you, and I'm over here.
So let's take that a bit deeper then. How do we deal with those who are stuck in the 3D matrix as we go out in the 5D and want to slap that 3D on us? And they're talking about politics. Otherwise, I'm just going to use this as an example because it's just fresh in my universe. As I've rekindled my relationship with my mother, I've realized that half of my mother's story is where am I standing within the whole deal. To me, this is her deal, is where am I standing within the whole migrant issue or anything else? Am I part of the problem or part? And she's literally asking me, am I going out and protesting? I'm like, no, I'm not giving any energy to it. And from my mother's end and from her 3D end, she's looking at me going, i'm dispartaking I'm dispartating. I'm not participating. There we go. Disparticipating in the universe. I'm not stepping. But how do you guys explain to people that you don't want to be messing around in the grand source matrix, in the politics, in the games that they're playing in and trying to present, even in some cases, to you in your universe to get you to play in? What are strategies that you guys use to keep yourselves in that 5D? Because this is something I need to learn myself. And to tell people who are really immersed in that 3D and you're like, I don't play in that. And they can't even see how you don't play in it and get, in some cases, even get angry and frustrated. So I'll
Why
just leave that open to the floor.
why do you owe anybody any answers? Why do you have to explain yourself to anybody?
You
Yeah.
don't.
Talk
You
to me
don't per
about
se.
something else.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely
like, nope,
not.
I'm not going to have that conversation with you. I don't, no.
Yeah, I kind of shrug it
Um,
off. Like, and then if they push, like, well, I'm not really into that, or yeah.
Oh, but how could you not be? It's so important. Well, it was important
Right. See,
20 years ago too.
exactly when I received it from my mom. When I received that conversation from my mom, it was like, well, then you're not. You're being selfish. You're being self-centered. You're not being part of the world. Why are you not protesting that these immigrants aren't getting the proper treatment? And there should be more. And I'm like, well, I can see it. Some of us in 5, we see a different agenda. We see things in a brighter light and a bigger picture than what's being presented on mass media and stuff. So how do you guys carry that and find the space to not create conflict with those in your universe, for example?
One thing that I have adopted recently, and I didn't even realize until just now, but that really kind of shuts things down in a wonderful way, is I say, I just stand in my light. And then they
There you go.
go, oh,
Oh,
that
you're
We
one
sounds
of
tried
really
that.
those.
My mother said we tried that. I got you're selfish and self-centered for doing so. Then
then I'll
that would be
talk
the
to you
most selfish
later.
and self-centered
See
yeah.
thing
ya.
you could do.
Au
Is to stand
revoir.
in your light when there's all this going on. You need to give your light away to help others. That's what I got.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too, is
So,
I get approached by that because I have some people around me that are very, I think all my close friends, like you guys know, I have no politics on my show, no religious talk or anything like that. And that bothers some people because even in our spiritual community, some people are still out there spouting isms. Oh, and division. And I don't want any of that. You see, I don't like any division in my life. I don't like any isms. And yeah, there's been grievances. Every one of us here at this table, every one of us have a grievance against something. Every one of us have something that we could dig through our past and be aggrieved about. But guess what we do? What do? We choose to let it go. We just choose to not make an issue out of it. Okay. And to Josh's point, many of us see things. You start to see the truth. The veil is lifting off so many corrupt things in our planet, systems that keep us unfed, unhoused. To your point, Josh brings it up in Good Dawning every day. Every time he does a Good Dawning, he's talking about, hey, but there's enough resources globally so everyone can have a piece of the pie. But there's systems set in place to not only affecting specific races, but affecting all of us. Okay, and there's systematic things out there to keep us in the loosh, keep us producing, keeping us watching specific news channels, keeping us fired up about things. Whenever it's none of it's necessary, none of it. And I always ask people, and especially my family members, that it's not so bad now because they know where I stand. They used to come at me and say, "Hey, why are you not getting all uproared about this or uproared about that? Why are you not engaging in this?" I'm like, "Well, what? It's not part of my universe anymore. I don't worry about it. I don't worry about those things." "Well, you need to be active." No, I don't. No, I don't. Because my activity is probably not going to make any difference whatsoever. Yeah, I'm going to go vote, okay? But my vote is my choice, and who I vote for is who I vote for. It's not, nobody on this table needs to know who I vote for. Nobody in chat does. None of my family members need to know either. So I keep it very personal and close to me because it's, I just basically stay away from anything that's divisive. And if somebody comes up and pushes on me, I kind of probably take the Trista route with it. Hey, and I say, if it's divisive, I'm not into that because it's going to divide me from you, regardless of what I say. It's going to probably cause something. And I love you, person who comes up and approaches me. I love you, but I just don't have time for it. I don't have time for it in my daily activity. I certainly don't have time for it in my energy or my universe.
Perfect, perfect, Victor. Yeah, for myself, it was a shock when I'm in conversation with my mom, and she's like, "You're detaching, you're separate, and you're being self-centered and egotistical for even thinking that you shouldn't be a part of any of this." And what's wrong? So yeah, hearing that, I appreciate that. It's about standing in frame. When I told her that I'm not interested in dealing in that, I just like to deal with our relationship. She said, "Then I don't know if I can deal with you if you're not dealing with that." And
Wow.
so, ooh, yeah, that kind of threw me
That's
there. So
conditional
yeah,
love, man.
the
That's
karmic,
conditional
even
love.
Hmm.
right. There's no one condition. That's conditional love, right?
Right.
And so realizing that even though I got to heal the mother wound and walk through all of that, and it may be karmic as hell, in some aspects, I still have to heal it. I don't have to take any of that energy, and that's why I brought this topic up is to get your guys' suggestions on how to not take that energy when you have somebody in your universe who's like, "Oh, you're not protesting? Well, get out of the country. Then this should be a free country, and there shouldn't be borders. What's wrong with you?" And you don't have that belief. Well, then you're selfish. So hearing these things from somebody who's really wrapped up in the 3D and giving her entire losh to the 3D, because we can't have a conversation. It doesn't exist about that. That's why I brought this topic up. And there are people like that out there in our universes. It's like, how do we bridge that divide and get them to see? Because really what we're talking about here in a lot of ways is standing in the old earth, right? And I had that conversation with my mother. I'm like, "You're in the old earth," and I had to bring it up. I'm like, "This is 100% what Dolores. You just gave Dolores Cannon all her credence," and I couldn't. How do we walk that divide when they can't see what we can't see? That's the bigger question. They can't feel what we can't feel, and they are really in that panic and fear and lotion trap. And we're just like, la di da. I'm just life is, and we don't see it because none of us, nobody's oppressing you, and nobody's standing in my universe, taking away my money. Nobody coming to my door telling me I have to give up my space to an immigrant or anything else for
It's
that matter.
fear. It's fear.
Exactly. And that's where Millie raised her hand there too. Go ahead, Millie.
I was just going to say, but you're missing an important fact. It's not your
Yeah.
job to convince them. They will
No,
get
but
there when
here's
they
the deal.
get
If
there.
I
So
don't, no,
you
but the
are
deal is
giving them loosh by sitting there and
true.
entertaining them and trying to sway them or what. If,
But
you know,
it's a
it,
hard line because in my end, if she's willing to drop the relationship almost if I'm not willing to at least discuss
okay,
these
so what does that mean to you? Like,
because
why
of
do you
that
think you're
important.
not going to heal it if you don't talk to her?
That's a possibility, right?
That doesn't mean you're not going to heal a mother wound because you don't talk to them. It's the whole love from afar, you know. So the you healing is the same thing I think as, I could be wrong, as forgiving, right? The forgiveness is for you. You heal with you. You don't Healing doesn't mean that you have to necessarily heal the relationship in the respect that you're thinking like healing the relationship and you guys can talk. It may get to the point where maybe you can't talk. but it's healing to know that it wasn't through any fault of your own, and it's healing to know what it was that led to that rift, or that wound,
Right.
or that
No doubt.
trauma that you suffered, and that in itself is the healing.
Yeah, and something else too, as I brought it up just a moment ago, is fear. Because your mom lives in that bubble and she's comfortable in that bubble. She is comfort.
Absolutely.
That's her. That's her comfort. That's her big, comfy sweater she puts on every day. Just like we put on our spiritual armor, the armor of God, as we say. Some people will say the armor of God. We walk around with this armor on all the time, and that's our comfort zone because we're out there seeking, we're out there looking for that new set of armor to put on, that bigger set, that stronger set. And unfortunately, your mother and there's people out there, many people like her, are still caught up in comfort zone, that comfort zone of constant news bombardment, constant grievance. Oh, hey, let's go be offended over here today. Okay, well, I'm going to go over there and be offended. I don't know what I'm offended about yet, but I'll find out when I get over there. And it's almost like it's an autonomic reaction to their bubble. Somebody's going to come and push
Exactly. I
on
mean, I
their
will give her
bubble.
a little bit. She does have JD Vance living across the street from her house. Literally, his house is directly across the street from hers. So there are times where she'll pull up the street, and she'll have to get out of the car. They'll have to search the car. They'll have to dump her purse into a bag, the whole 9 yards, just for her to go to her house. So she does have a bit of a grievance. But yeah, no, I understand exactly where you guys are going here, and dealing with those people who are overlooshed. We'll put it that way, right? Who are just swimming in the loosh, so to speak, in the loosh. Yeah, how do you guys energetically then, and you can type in the audience too, how do you guys maintain those relationships, like Millie said, or even if it's possibly from afar? And how do you guys work on not bringing up those trigger topics or what have you when you are with family members, karmic family members, and whatnot? How do you guys keep the balance? There we go, peaceful balance in your universe, especially with family members who are in 3D versus 5D and can't see. We can see down. Everybody in 5D, everybody who's been into 5D or whatever, but everybody's vibrating and cleared their traumas, which is really all it is, can see down into how other people are living within their traumas. And so but they can't see up that we're clear in how we are seeing the universe.
Hmm.
So from your end, then how do we look down into their lives and see all that trauma that they're still living in, all the games that they're still playing in, and hold that space for them, but then realize where we are as well, and try to keep that balance. That's the big thing.
I think it's a lesson in
I'll just
keeping boundaries.
Yeah.
You have your boundaries. You stand in your frame. If you go past this boundary, then you know there's consequences to that. And by consequences, it's just you pull away.
Yeah.
It de- it depends what corral they're in. I grew up on a horse farm, so I know one thing is that I put people in different corrals where they belong. And there are some that you can trust, people that you can love compassionately. They're 3D, they're in the news, they're in politics, they're in whatever the medical thing that is out there. They're in whatever is the news tells them. And I don't have any play, any what is it? I don't have a horse in their race. There's nothing. It doesn't affect me. But I can still listen to them. I can still hang with them, and I can listen to them with compassion. And no matter what they say, it isn't mine. It isn't my problem. I can still listen to them and let them vent and talk all about how they hate the other political side and blah blah blah. And then I will ask something. Well, your guy on the on your side is very similar. What do you think about that? And because I am so apolitical, I will find an equal match to anyone they love, but I will do it in a compassionate way to help them try to see the whole truth that there is. To me, all politicians are evil. So at one point, I'm going to say, okay, you're so stuck in your political party and the other political party is exactly the same. It's a circle. You go so far in your political party, you're actually on the other side. And of course, there's a point where some will see that, agree with that, and then ignore it. Others will see that and get offended and get upset and stop talking to me. But either way, at least I brought it up to them to look at the whole picture. And if that doesn't work, I can still be with them and still hang with them and talk with them and party with them and just let them vent and realize, again, I don't have a dog in this race, so I can sit there quietly, you know. And if they're a close person, they can say all they want, and I will accept them because there's something in them that, heart to heart, they're close to me. If someone's close to my heart, no matter what they say, I'll accept and let them have it and listen to them with compassion. If they're not close to my heart, I'm going to be compassionate to a point. But again, there's a point where I don't need to continue this conversation because I'm feeling, again, our hearts aren't connected. I'm feeling a little bit of the negativity being absorbed in me. I have to end this conversation in the best way possible. People close to my heart, no matter what they say, I don't pick up their negativity because they're usually from a place of compassion, even though it's warped. And I continue the conversation from there. But again, there's a time when even people are close to my heart, I have to walk away. But I do it in a compassionate way, saying, you know what, I got to take a phone call, or I got to think about something, and if they accept it, they accept it. If they don't, I still walked away, you know.
I do find that sometimes,
Absolutely.
sorry, that sometimes I will, like, because I'll listen and let them vent or whatever. And then if it gets too harsh, I'll just put up a wall and I'll still be there listening, but not absorbing it and just letting it bounce off of that wall.
Oh.
Can you say that one more time?
So if I'm conversing with somebody who is, coming at me with all of these political things, whether I agree or not, like sometimes there's that harshness to it. And when that happens, then I'll very consciously put up a wall, and I'll just feel that energy bounce off that wall instead of coming at me. And I'll still be there, pretending I'm listening, but just not letting it, not absorbing it the way I normally do, when I listen properly. So, so that it's there, and it's not here.
Yeah, and
If that makes sense.
there's also things. I don't want to speak out of turn, Josh, but there's also things I like to do after I go outside, after I go out and have interactions, come back into my space and to kind of keep my space clear. I do this kind of energy shower, kind of like when we nuke someone on my channel, but I kind of do this golden light shower just over myself, just kind of give myself a quick cleanse. And that's one way I interact with the 3D. I just wash it away. I just wash it away, get any fungus off of me, as I call it, that I may have picked up out there. And then uh, I I kind of take a Bill and Ted's attitude when I go out and interact with the public. And what do they do? Be excellent to each other, and just try to be nice to everyone. And it's like anything; it works in some regards, in other places, and sometimes, one of the fun things about that. We get you back, Josh. We can hear you. There you go.
Sorry, guys. I got to reboot.
All right, we'll see you in a minute.
I'm out.
Okay.
We still have plenty of time for him to come back. Where was I going with that? But have you ever done this? Here's a good. Have you ever? Have you ever kind of had a grumpy, maybe a grumpy waiter or waitress, and then you show them compassion, or grumpy anyone, and then you show them compassion, and they're like, and the next thing you know, you notice their energy, you feel their energy change, and you see their demeanor change, and the next thing you know, you have this awesome interaction with this person who initially, upon contact, you were thinking, oh darn, oh darn, that person's not having a great day. And then you show them some compassion and show them some love. You just hey, thank you so much, and not be over the top with it, but just be freaking excellent to them. And then the next thing you know, they're going above and beyond, because it's almost like it turns on a light for them to be like, oh, I'm not in my best self right now. I need to treat these people are treating me kindly, so I'm going to treat them with kindness. And it's nice to see that switch flip on for people. Have you guys had any of those experiences?
Actually, It's usually at the Walmart and the dollar store, and it's not the waitresses or the people who work there the problem. It's normally I will see a customer yelling at somebody who doesn't deserve it. And when a customer leaves, I walk up to them and tell them, "You're doing a great job." And I will tell them why they're doing a great job, because you can see that there are some people that are almost in tears by dealing with the public, and they never get any positive reinforcement. Walmart, dollar store are the worst places for these people to work, and I can feel the negativity around them. And even though they're not being negative, they need as much positivity as possible. That's usually what I see. I never have a problem with the people who work in the stores. It's the customers that are my problem, and I won't address the customers too often because normally they're just looking for someone to argue with. I'll go on the other side and tell the people, "You don't deserve that. You're doing a great job," and it's something that they don't get too often. Um, Also, I do also go out on my way to, thank the cashiers whenever I see a cashier in person, or God forbid, the poor cashier who has to handle the four self checkout things. I will thank them and tell them, any help that they give me. And sometimes I'll even do something stupid so they do help me. And then, tell them that I appreciate it, because again, they don't get too much appreciation, and those people need it more than they need because they're working a low paid job, and hearing all this negativity, it's just not fair.
And
Yeah.
that's what. Go ahead,
Uh,
Justin.
I was just going to say I worked at Walmart for 7.5 years, and yeah, it was tough. I would cry on the way home almost every day.
That's why it's important to choose your employment wisely. I actually worked at corporate. I interned when I was in college at corporate in Bentonville, and I have a really off color thing that I'm going to say right now.
No sound, guys. Sorry.
We can hear you, Josh. Oh, there he goes. But okay, so everybody get ready. It's probably going to be the most off color thing that you've ever heard me say because I keep it pretty level on my show. But we had this joke, and we used to call it tram law at when I worked there at Walmart because I was about a year and a half, and I had someone email me from Seattle, one of my friends, and it was through the corporate email system. And my friend says, "Hey, is it just like the stores where you work?" And I was like, "Well, no, because I work in an office. I was in computer operations, and all the chairs were mismatched, and all the desks were mismatched, and the computers were old, and just things like that." And I kind of said that in an email. And 2 days later, I'm sitting in front of HR, and they have my email printed out. And they're like, "This doesn't put a very good light on Walmart." And I said, "Well, I didn't say anything that wasn't true. The carpet's threadbare out in the main hallway and this and that." But we had this little off color thing that we said. And I do apologize if I offend anyone that said we used to have this saying that after we quit Walmart, we had to go out on the corner, out in front of the corner there. We had to go. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this. All right, I'll just say it. That we were so low by the time we quit Walmart that we had to sell blowjobs on a corner for a nickel until we got our dignity back.
Right.
That's how bad it was, and that's why it's important to choose your companies wisely. You see, because Walmart is oppressive. It was oppressive. You get up and go to the toilet, and I worked in an office. Oh, hey, your break was, you spent too much time at the toilet. You need to go during your break. I'm like, well, I had to pee now. Well, that's what your breaks are for, and just on you all the time, all the time. And so I think the joke fits perfectly because
There
just
we
to
go.
show just to show how much they kind of beat you down. And Walmart wants good corporate citizens. They want you to be all about the company. And if you're a manager there, you've got to go there every Saturday and do the Walmart cheer and put on the happy face, happy, happy, joy, joy, and play the game. And yeah, you'll retire with a couple million in your account, but you're literally selling yourself the whole time, selling your soul in a sense. And yeah, Walmart does a lot of good for some people, but they've kind of, I think they've kind of missed the mark. And I'm being very generous here. They've kind of missed the mark over the last 20 or 30 years. They've gotten really icky about how they treat people. Oh, you know it firsthand, Trista. But where did you work in a distribution center or a store?
No, I was in a store, and what I liked is that I was able, and I planned on quitting. So I was there when I was in Saskatoon, and then when I was moving to Edmonton, I'm like, well, this is perfect. I can just take my job with me, right? So I transferred, and that was all fine. But then, yeah, I felt stuck there, and I couldn't find anything else for quite some time. And it wasn't until I became a vegetarian, actually, and then I started shopping at Planet Organic, and they had a sign saying they were hiring, and I was like, you know what? I don't care if I'm earning less. This is something that at least, like, all of that experience transfers over, and I can be at a place that treats me half decent. And they were awesome to work for. Really, really fantastic company for the first couple of years, and then they sold out to like some corporation bought them, and everything changed, and then it was downhill from there. But yeah, I don't know. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think you did because see that's the perfect balance right there. You had a company that you really enjoyed, and then you had a company that you really didn't, and it's that corporate culture, and it's like anything that we expose ourselves to. And think about that. Think about the what it puts you through energetically to go into that place that you dislike. And I don't use the H word, but that you extremely dislike, and you're putting yourself in there. You're going in there every time, just so you can survive. And I look forward to the day. I look forward to some of the changes that are coming. That's going to free so many people from that lack that has been taken from us on so many different intentional avenues. It's taken from us and taken from us. Keep us working. Keep us become. We need to be good taxpayers. We need to be good citizens. Take it on the chin. Pay outrageous rates for our electricity and for our gas and things like that. Things that should be getting cheaper as the days go on because these infrastructure projects, they should pay for themselves. Oh, here's a good one: toll roads. There we go. A toll road, something that, hey, haven't they been collecting toll
Oh,
roads locally for 40 years? But for some reason, it's still not paid for. You know, uh, but even that, even the
it's like in
convers,
Chicago, they built the Tri-State Tollway. They built the
yeah,
tollway in Chicago, and they promised in the charter of the tollway that they would, once it's paid for, they would stop taking the tolls. What's been paid for three times over.
yeah. But see, even this
Yeah.
conversation where we're going right now is we have this opportunity. All of us have this opportunity of being in charge of our reaction to this situation because guess what I started feeling? Start talking about tram law and it starts building up in me. I start feeling it and I start getting that old no dignity thing, no dignity thing back. And it starts, and so, I had to just a few moments ago, I was like, no, calm down, dude. That's in the past. And unfortunately, other people are suffering in that system right now. But hey, it's not you any longer. And all I can do is send positive energy to those people that are still trapped in it. So,
I would like to add that while I was there, I started actively researching and planning to write a book about them. And
yeah.
I started. I didn't get very far, but I was like, I've got my sociology background. I can do this. And I had like piles of stuff to go through, and it just never. Yeah, I'm not very good with follow through, but it was still fun, and I learned a lot in the research.
Yeah, and there's of course many other things about big box stores moving into places and killing the local economies. Although I hope that that comes back because now with certain changes happening in our country, taking a lot of the additives out of our food and and it's in everything, or putting various chemicals in here, doing it this way or that way. I've noticed a big change because I've really been focusing on local stuff lately, and that's a vibrational thing too. And even I think, yeah, you said you're a vegan, right, or a vegetarian.
Well, technically, I'm pescatarian, but yeah,
So that means you eat fish, right?
yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not a fish eater, and that may be because I'm Pisces. But the thing about it is some people even go, well, look at how your food is processed. And heck, I just found out yesterday that Taco Bell, I think if you're any Taco Bell eaters out there, I think their ground beef is 36% ground beef that they put in the tacos. 36. Yes, you see,
That's not cow meat.
It's
that's
powder.
not cow meat. That's,
Taco Bell's meat comes in a powdered form. You have to mix it with water.
oh,
It
I thought
comes
that
with
was
It
only the
comes in
beans.
a package form. Ta- Taco Bell's meat comes in a powdered package, and you have to mix it with water to create meat. It's not real meat.
We can do a show on fast food,
Their
but it'd
beef
have to
is
be
in
on
you
Rumble.
stir it up with water, and it's a powdered form of meat. It
Wow.
clumps up when you stir it up. It clumps up when you stir it up. It's disgusting.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Lakeside Laura says we
Great
probably
heat.
all grew up on soy burgers in school. We probably did. I don't know. Did they have it back then? I don't know. The food seemed to
Because
be a
soy
lot
went
I didn't in
better.
green.
school. I never ate lunch at school, so I don't know.
Yeah, it would be awesome. See, Kim writes breatharian Shelby. I would love to be a breatharian. Josh. Josh, you said what a couple weeks ago that if you could just take a pill, like a
I would close my kitchen.
yeah,
I would never eat again. Nothing. I'd go social. I go out, but I wouldn't eat.
yeah. I don't know. I enjoy
I'd
eating way
stop
too
eating
much.
100%.
I don't know if I could go to just a nutrient tablet or something. I enjoy food way too much.
Oops.
So, and
Sorry,
then
my internet's super sketchy. I may have to dive.
no, dude, you're all right. We're almost at the top of the hour. We got like 3 more minutes. Oh, I guess I'm sorry. We got off this whole dealing with the 3D, but see, this comes back around, everyone. It comes right back around. We just pulled up some things that were kind of icky that we spoke about with various companies, and we get to choose how our reaction to this situation. We get to choose, and that's something. Lucky brought up something earlier. Maybe you did, Millie. That when I meet spiritual people, I have a tendency, and it's like it's an auto thing that happens, it's autonomic. When I meet a spiritual person, I have a tendency to hold them in a little bit higher regard, especially when you find out they're spiritual. But then we all know that spirituality comes in layers too. Yeah, spirituality comes in layers, and some people, I met a Reiki practitioner. I met them IRL when I was just kicking off Truthwave, and met them in person, and they were not spiritual at all. Not spiritual at all. And I was kind of under this assumption that all Reiki masters were spiritual. And it's like you meet tarot people that are not intuitive, and they'll tell you straight up they're not intuitive. But then I'm like, well, I thought that was part of tarot. Well, no, I just read the cards. Okay, fine. Do it whichever way you want. But and it's like realizing there's various levels even within our own community, and some people are still very politicized or hate men or hate women or things like that. And you'd think that where's that point? This is another topic you need to write down in your topic book, Lucky. That where's that point in our spiritual growth? And I'm kind of off topic here, but where's that point where you really release those things? You release all the isms. Is there a point in there? Do you guys know people that are call them spiritual? They're all walking around. Oh, I'm so spiritual, and they make sure everybody knows it, of course. But in essence, when you dig into it, they may not quite be where you would think they would be by the things they espouse.
The problem with
Yeah.
that is nuances. It's not just because you're spiritual, we come up and down spirituality. Up and down. We're constantly, it's a growth, it's a journey, it's not a destination. So if someone's spiritual, just because we don't see them as spiritual right now doesn't mean they're not spiritual. It just means that from our perspective and that part of our life and their life, we're not meeting, and they're more showing more 3D, and we're believing that we're more of, and then because there's the judgment thing.
Well, I'm not
And
really talking about the judgment thing. I'm talking about like if
oh
all
no, no,
four
no,
all
you
four of
are
us
judging.
met, if all four of us met though, and we all start having a chat, we're going to know that we have a certain level of spirituality amongst us. And see, that's where I fall into that, where I tend to hold people, and I think it's probably not the healthiest thing for me to do, because I typically put people like all of yourselves on a much higher regard. You start up here instead of starting down here. That's what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? Which is still, in essence, a judgment. I'm judging you
And
guys, but I'm judging you in a positive way. But
it's still
still,
not good. It's
yeah,
still not. It's still
Mhm.
not.
yeah,
It's still pulling it down to 3D. Once you, I put people in corrals. I know that. I know I put them in corrals, but it helps me to say, okay, how do I deal with the situation? It's not healthy spirituality wise, but it is healthy in a 3D world to survive this crazy moment. And again, you manifest a reality. And whenever someone says to me, I need more people like you in my life, I need more spiritual people in my life, and I say to them, no, you have the people in your life that you deserve. You just need to accept them and help them raise them up with you. That's your job. And they don't want to hear that.
yeah. And actually, our
Or
What
job
if
is
some people don't want to get raised up though? What if people don't see you as raised up to begin with and think that I'm gonna raise up to you, but they don't want to raise up anyways. They don't even see it.
and really, all you have to do is just be, and you're going to vibrate at a certain frequency, and that can change how other people like the frequencies they're at as well. So you can really effectively change things without trying, just holding that, just maintaining that frequency, and
Set
then
a
you're
good
gonna
example.
around you,
Yes, set a
and then
good example. Yes.
it's less abrasive for them too, right? Because they don't know what's happening. So you're just being, and they're kind of probably wondering what's going on or not even noticing, and just changing very slowly along with you, or kind of more towards you, or if it's uncomfortable for them, then away from you.
That's it. 100%. I agree. Perfect.
That's what I say, just stand in your light.
You know that thing, Victor and Lucky, that you guys were talking about like the categorizing people, and you're like, it's judging, but it's not judging. I've heard of that referred to before as spiritual ego.
mm,
So if you want to take a deep dive or explore that a little bit, that's what I've heard it referred to.
yeah. I think
There's a
that I
name
think
for that.
That's a show.
yeah, that is a show. Yeah,
That's
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 the
that's complicated.
and that's reconciling. You're reconciling because you meet a spiritual person and you just I guess maybe it's just me. I don't know. I don't know where you guys how you have this experience, but it's you start having these conversations and then it's almost like you assume. Maybe it's an assumption. You know what assuming does. I'm not going to say that because I've said enough dirty words tonight. But you assume that you're speaking the same language. You know, you assume that I think some assumption comes in that you guys are flowing and that they're on the same level you are. That you guys are your understanding is exactly where it is. And in essence, none of our understanding is ever exactly with each other's understanding because we all have, Josh has this stuff that he knows about. Trista has hers. Millie, you have yours. Lucky, you have yours. You see, and we can all come together. And if we wrote down all of our combined knowledge, you'd probably see, especially with us five, you'd probably see that Josh's knowledge fits in this gap in mine, and fits in this gap in Millie's, and fits in this gap at Trista's and Lucky's, and so on. All of our knowledge is going to sit there and plug into each other's. And that's one thing I love about this. I love about our community is everyone. There's always everybody can always teach somebody else something, something in return. So
That's how we come together and
yeah,
form one. You know.
that's right. Unity. Mary wins. Says it
Mhm.
right there. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
I would like to throw in one little story. So, a friend of mine who considers herself quite spiritual. So, we were talking about like an ongoing problem in like the community that we're in, and she was going off, and I was upset about it. And then suddenly she was like, nobody here understands energy. Nobody, not you, not this person, not this person. She's naming, and I'm sitting there thinking, why are you yelling at me? Who doesn't understand energy? How is this necessary? So it's kind of like, and that's where it's like, well, you can say that it's judging for whatever terminology you want to use, but then what she's putting into the world is not matching the vibration that she thinks she has, and she's accusing everybody else of the same thing. So it's like, well, you're just showing me who you are. So
And
the way
I can't.
that or is that just how it is, right? Sorry, Victor.
No, it's all right because Millie's point about spiritual ego is, that's I'm going to be thinking about that all night tonight. Well, for the however long I'm awake. But I came across something today by this lady named Jessica Kinney, and I just remembered it. And she was talking about, and this is a great topic for our topic done. This is a great ad. And she thought of, and she takes you through this short. It's just a short, but she talks about when you're out there, just imagine yourself as a flower, all open like this, and then when the energy starts affecting you a certain way, just close those petals up a little bit, and maybe if necessary, close the petals all the way up, and then you're basically pulling your energy, your flower, your blades. What's it called on a flower? Your leaves of your flower. You're basically just pulling those leaves up in a manner of protection. And I thought that was such a great exercise. I made a comment about it because it was just like because I could envision that the whole time of just closing my flower up around myself. All the petals. There we go. All the petals closing up around myself. Okay, now it's better. Okay, well I'm gonna get out and get some more light or shine my show my radiance by laying those petals down. Thought it was beautiful.
I like
Okay,
that.
now I'm gonna mess with your head. Okay, I'm sorry. But I was just now, isn't that dimming your light?
I don't know because it was
Is it
more about
protection? Is it the
it was more protection to the way she said it. It was more about protecting yourself like this and then opening back up when it's safe or something like that. So I thought it was awesome.
you got me thinking.
I like that.
See, great food for thought.
Yeah, because I'm like, all right, well, aren't you always safe?
Lucky's topic book is going to be full.
He's taking notes.
Yeah, I'm actually emailing myself now. I don't lose a load because I keep losing notebook. I'm making an email with all these ideas.
Excellent.
Hopefully, I know my short-term means, my sentences mean. Who knows? We'll find out later.
All right. Well, everyone, I need to go.
Yes,
Let's
we've
close
gone
this
over
up,
an
guys.
hour.
Yep. Thank you guys. Sorry I was in and out. My internet, good old American internet's about as good as if it's not clear out, I get a storm with internet's down. And yeah, so apologize. But thank you guys. So I missed about half the conversation. I have to go rewatch it. Most of the time I was here was all digital sketch, anyways. So honestly, I didn't really hear any of the most of the conversation. But thank you guys. Thank you for letting me sort of host and be here, but not really hear anything. I caught some of the Walmart, but not really. And yeah, so I didn't really hear much of any of this. Other than you seeing my face there, I appreciate being here. And yeah, so I'll have to go back and actually listen to it to hear what was said. But most of it was just me watching my phone, my computer screen look like a digital pixel mess.
No, you're
Um,
fine. You're fine, man.
yeah, it's working now, which of course we just smile and then laugh. But
Well, that's a
grateful.
good
All right,
topic.
guys.
We're chatters.
So there we go. So Trista, you can catch Trista on her channel with amazing videos. Lucky is on his channel. He does his shorts on the daily and live with the Milky Way Soul Tribe, and us and Millie doing her amazing shorts, and of course Victor in the dawning and the evening. If you're on the 12 crew at let's see, my time would be 8:45, so 10:45 East Coast evening and PM, AM and PM. So check us all out, guys. I will be live tomorrow at 6 o'clock my time or 8 o'clock East Coast time, or Scotty Boy there at 5 a.m. Favorite. And otherwise, guys, thank you for joining the Oyster Tabula Rasa. Check out each and every one of our channels here as well. We'll try to get links in maybe after the fact. I'm going to have to rewatch it so I can hear what was said. And otherwise, guys, we love you. We thank you all for being here, and we will catch you guys next week. And next week, I'm not sure who's going to be hosting, but join us. We'll find out. Much love, guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank
We
you,
appreciate
everyone. Have a great
Nice
night.
you.
day.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Love you guys.
Bye.
401 comments in chat. All right, here we go.
Bye, bye, bye.